Okay, so I'm back where it all started back in 1991 with Sir Prescott. So firstly, thank you, sir, for having me.
Oh, thank you. We did all right in the end.
We did. Sir Mark set my life off for me. I was a troubled young man that had two options in life. It was either go to the army or go to Ballsfield. But thankfully, I came to Sir Mark and he set life straight for me for the first 3 years of my working life.
I think it was probably a bit of balls from a bit of the army, jumping from the frying pan into the fire. But I seem to remember I also signed Guardian for you, did I not?
Yes.
Yeah.
My father still talks about to this day that you signed over. If I was to come here, you were going to take over guardianship for me, and you were going to be the person to look out for me.
Well, we did all right, and there were some good horses here then, wasn't there?
There was. We had Case Law.
Chickmond, he won the Solario. But it was a tougher life then, wasn't it, than it is now?
It was.
I think the lads in those days didn't work as hard because we only had 2 or 3 lots, didn't we? Whereas now in some of the big yards they'll have 4, 5, 6. On the other hand, you had to do them better.
That's the thing that sticks in my brain.
You had to do them better.
The attention to detail.
Yeah.
The grooming the horses, we spent a good half an hour, 40 minutes per horse.
Exactly.
Whereas now it seems to be more rushed. It seems to be, we get in, we get out. I think
it's in more of a hurry, but I do think the modern lads work harder. But of course they don't have nearly as much detail to do as we all did in those days. The horses were much more difficult than they are now. There was no sedatives. There was horse had been in the box and ill. You just got him out, and some poor little kid rode him round a bit, and then off he went, and they either came back or they didn't. I mean, it looks pretty scary now, looking back on it.
One we can touch on there is a horse that it made it to a couple of different books. It was called Prince of Darkness.
Yes, you rode him.
My first horse.
He was a difficult horse, and we couldn't get him in the stalls. And then Monty Roberts came over, and we paid him to come, and he couldn't get him in the stalls. And then we invented the stalls rug for him, which now is everywhere. You see it all over the world. But it was invented for him, and of course we sent Monty to the races with him when he finally ran at Warwick. And Newmarket was on. I went to Newmarket. Monty went there, and the starter was Jerry Scott, a lovely fellow, won the National Merriman. And I knew Jerry well. I said, I've just got this horse, Jerry. We'll just chuck a rug on him, across his quarters. He'll be fine. Will that be all right? Jerry said, fine. When Monty arrived with this gigantic rug, which, of course, in those days, all it was a New Zealand rug with carpets stitched onto it. Yeah. And when Jerry Scott saw this, he couldn't believe it. Anyway, we loaded him with it and tied it on the back, and he flew out and finished 4th. And of course everybody was asking Monty about it, and it became the Monty Roberts rug, which I've always been slightly grumpy about.
I touched on this last
as it was all my idea, because it was a picadors rug. I love the bullfight, and I got it from the picadors. But anyway, so whenever I see Monty, I always say, "Now then, Monty, you old villain, how are you?"
I touched on this last night because